Hello, everyone, and welcome to the semifinals of the TBL, the Team Battle League. We are here, the Wash U Beartics, have made it to the semifinals by well, it wasn't a fluke of a battle. It was definitely a fluke of a decision by the administration to allow us into the playoffs at all. But here we are ready to get into the semifinals. And of course, we are taking on the 1 seed this week because we don't deserve to be here right now. So anyway, of course, I say that, but I am not alone in thinking that. I am joined by the founder of the TTM, the man, the myth, the legend. Would you like to say hello to the people?
What's going on, guys? I totally agree. We don't deserve to be here. But you know what? Now we're here, and we're going to see if we can punch our ticket to the finals. We are obviously stepping up our game in the playoffs compared to what we were doing in the regular season. And this is really one of those matchups where we brought a seriously suboptimal team in our first iteration against them in the season. I think we got 4-0'd actually in our first time playing against them. We tried to win with a combine like a Crow Musharna, and obviously that didn't work at all because it's a Musharna and they had like a bunch of fat stuff with Haze. So that, yeah, we're going to do a little bit better against them this time around in theory with how the team is constructed. And, you know, I'm really excited to see how we're going to be able to turn this around. I think they showed us a lot of their top strategies against us most likely in our first matchup against them. At least it kind of felt that way with some of the sets that they brought. They revealed a lot of potential huge threats to our team with their team build, and it's some stuff we can really take into consideration for this time around in building the team. But yeah, I think it's going to be pretty fun. They're coached by UndertheRadar and Monotooi. Make sure to check them out. Link down in the description below. As per the usual, I think they're uploading a separate team builder. If not, just make sure to check out their side of the battle when that comes out. In theory tomorrow. I'm not sure what day this is going to come out quite yet as the battle keeps getting postponed a little bit. But anyways, yeah, I hope you're looking forward to that as well. But yeah, so just to reiterate, you can already see it on your screen now, but the team that they are rocking this season is quite scary. It has really nice synergy. Pretty difficult for our team and the vast majority of the league really to deal with, and that's why this team only had 1 loss all season, I believe. They have the Aselgor, Cinderace, Celebi, Morpeko, Duraludon, Diggersby, Mr. Rhyme, Surfetch, Vaporeon, Alcremie, and Dusknoir. All kinds of brand new mons that I've had to wrap my head around what they actually can do in draft format. And it's a little bit easier in the rematch scenario, in my opinion. But what are some of your initial thoughts on this, Goldoa?
Honestly, same thing as last time. Moonblast, as we said last time, is incredibly spammable, and thankfully we have the best spammer of Moonblast in the entire game, Musharna.
Yes.
But real talk, like, their team does not appreciate strong, incredible offense that our team happens to have a very good dose of. On the same token, they prepped very well for that last time, and they decided to bring a bunch of Haze to make sure that we couldn't set up on them, to bring a bunch of mons that were super fat so they could handle the offense and pivot around it. And so we're going to have to make sure we come with the only thing our team knows how to do, which is even more offense, even more pressure, really put pressure on those mons that get Haze to not be able to do it as often as they want, to be chipped down, and then eventually just be broken through. And I think prepping with the idea of breakers and then sweepers as opposed to a single breaker and sweeper in a single mon is actually going to help us a lot, because if we don't have both of those things, no mon is going to be able to do it all by itself. Now, of course, like last week, I just wanted to reiterate with everybody, during the course of the season, we did these team builders live for you guys. We looked at their first impressions of the team, and if you want to go check out what our first impressions of their team were, by all means, go back and check out that team builder. We did upload it, and we have everything from our first impressions. However, this is the playoffs. We are taking it a little bit more seriously, and there's no way we could give you our first impressions twice anyway, so what we decided to do is give you guys a bit of a different style, and like last week, we prepped this team in advance, and we'll be going through it with you guys and explaining each mon one by one, as opposed to trying to put a whole team together in the hour that we're talking to you guys.
Yeah, so just kind of going over, I'm not going to call it like the first thoughts on the team, but just, I'm going to call it like secondary thoughts on the team. Like after actually really diving into this matchup and thinking about, you know, some of the ways that their team can struggle, they are really defensively oriented. And I don't think either of us really truly understood that to the full capacity when we were looking at this matchup the first time around. And they really showed it to us in our first game against them, where they truly have the defensive Pokemon to single-handedly deal with each of our individual sweepers if we don't prepare accordingly for them. So they really showed that they're capable defensively of dealing with our team. And as a result, I think it's very possible that they could try to bring a similar strategy again, but I also realize that this is the playoffs, And essentially anything goes in the playoffs. We could technically see like a really gimmicky team. I don't think that's what we'll see, as they are the top seed and they shouldn't really feel like they need to do that. I think it's more likely that they'll bring a similar type of team structure with slightly more offense this time around, expecting us to prepare more heavily for their defensive Pokemon. And with that in mind, that's kind of how we approached the team build here, which we'll get into very briefly. But that's kind of a thought process, I guess, that was going through our heads as we were putting together this team. We want to be able to break down those fat Pokemon much better than we were last time around, as the options that we brought last time simply weren't able to do it well enough. But we also need to be prepared for the fact that they could bring more offense, they could bring more speed, that could potentially be really annoying for our team if we were too heavily focused on dealing with their fatter Pokemon. So we have to kind of keep that balance between those two potential options that they could bring in this game. And I think the team that we've constructed here is going to be able to do a pretty nice job at handling that. So kind of like Goldoa was saying earlier, we did recognize that Moonblast still is ridiculously spammable against their team, and that's something that we really seriously honed in on in our first matchup against them. And that's not really different in this team. I wouldn't say that we are spamming fairy coverage with this team, but Gardevoir especially just happens to be a fantastic spammer of Moonblast, and as a result, it's going to end up being one of our biggest threats against their team. So I'm going to go ahead and hop on over to the team builder itself so you can start seeing some of the mods that we're bringing for this game. So we're kicking this off with the Gardevoir. Now this set is fairly different than what we brought last time around. This is a sub-taunt Calm Mind Moonblast set. Now Moonblast really is the only coverage move that we need against their whole team, just because they only have one resist, and that's Cinderace, and it's relatively frail. So they don't switch into Moonblast very well at all. But what's really nice about this set is that this set actually abuses their fat, as well as being just really annoying for them to switch into in the first place, as the special defense and HP investment allows us to actually not have our sub broken by an uninvested Alcremie's Dazzling Gleam, which could be very, very nice, as it's unlikely, in my opinion, that they bring like a Calm Mind Alcremie set. I think they're most likely going to, if they do have Calm Mind, I'll say if they do have Calm Mind, I think they won't want to risk trying to 1v1 a Gardevoir, just because we could very easily be packing Psyshock on our set. So it's not like they'd necessarily want to try to stay in and Calm Mind alongside us, thinking they can win that war 1v1. So I think they're going to be forced out whenever they see that they can't break our sub with the Dazzling Gleam, which puts us in a really nice position against other members on their team as well. And if they're not a Calm Mind set, that's even better for us, obviously, as we're going to be able to just set up on it for free. And once we get up to +1, the whole team is essentially 2-hit KO'd, outside of maybe Vaporeon or the unlikely specially defensive Celebi. Celebi can't break our sub anyway, unless it's Shadow Ball, I think it gets, but I don't see them bringing that necessarily. And Vaporeon, we can just taunt that as well, and it can't do literally anything to us. So their whole team is seriously threatened by this at +1. Even with just the 44 EVs in special attack with the Modest Nature, that's plenty to be a huge threat against their team. And yeah, I could just see this thing being really annoying against them. The dream is to get this thing in against Alcremie after like a U-turn or after a double, expecting it to come in against something. The dream is to be able to get this thing in and just sub down for free on it and start clicking Calm Mind and Moonblast. And it's I can really see this doing a lot of damage to their team. This seriously punishes the defensive members of the roster, and we just didn't really have the best options to punish those defensive members in our first matchup. We are most definitely changing the pace of that here in this game. So that is the first mon on the team in Gardevoir.
I appreciate that you took the first mon right there, because it means that I get to take the second one on the list. And of course, you guys know, if it's me, if it's the semifinals, it's going to be Noctowl. It's coming. It's time. This thing is making its playoff debut right here. And honestly, in a similar vein to Gardevoir, they just do not have a switch in to Hurricane. Nothing in the game appreciates switching into a Hurricane, especially a Hurricane at +2, especially a Hurricane at +2 when you're behind a sub. So this thing, similar to Gardevoir in that its substitute cannot be broken by an uninvested Dazzling Gleam, cannot be broken, I believe, also by a Celebi, spamming its stab moves. So unless it has Psyshock, I think it can break it. But if it has Psychic, I don't believe it breaks it.
It has a chance to. It's not guaranteed.
Okay, so either way, even if this thing does get its substitute broken, its last move is taken here by Toxic. We did go with Toxic over Roost or another coverage option like Hyper Voice. mostly on the grounds that early in the game or even in the mid game, Dust Noir can haze this thing and be super frustrating. So we want to punish the Dust Noir for staying in on it by clicking Toxic. Similar with the Vaporeon, we want to punish that thing for trying to just stall out our Hurricane PP by hazing, by going for that Toxic because this thing doesn't learn Taunt. So that's sort of its pseudo Taunt option in the back. Additionally, because of the leftovers, we can go for a Toxic and then switch it out and bring it back in later because it is bulky enough to take a hit on that switch in as well. And just honestly, getting a nasty plot up, we're going to 2-hit KO, I think, every single member of their roster with a Hurricane, as long as we're landing Hurricanes, which that is the story of Noctowl. You know how they said that Torn T would be Ubers if Hurricane was 100% accurate? I think the same thing is true of Noctowl.
You know what? I'm in. Let's do this. I think so. I think so.
We're about to prove that here in the semifinals against the 1 seed. I do think this thing actually is a really good matchup in this game, just because of the fact that Hurricane is incredibly spammable, and the things that are especially defensive just really don't appreciate taking it at +2, and they really don't want to be toxic either. So just the ability to set up and just click one move over and over is super nice to have.
Yeah, and I will add as well that it's nice that the Noctowl has Toxic while the Gardevoir has Taunt, as between those two, that's going to put the Vaporeon specifically in a bind. As the Vaporeon does have 4 move slot syndrome in this game, we think Wish Protect are both pretty much guaranteed on Vaporeon, as well as probably an offensive move of some sort, most likely Scald or Ice Beam. And then that leaves only 1 slot either for Haze/Roar or for Heal Bell on that, which means that one of these 2 Pokemon should be able to make a lasting impact against the Vaporeon. The Gardevoir should be able to regardless, actually, with Taunt, but the Toxic is definitely a nice benefit if it happens to not be a Heal Bell Vaporeon. Additionally, in the case of like the Alcremie, the same applies. It could have Aromatherapy, and it could also, not have Aromatherapy. It could be like a Calm Mindset. And the Toxic set is much better against the Alcremie if it happens to be a Calm Mind set, and if it happens to be an Aromatherapy set, then probably our Gardevoir is a little bit better because it most likely doesn't have Calm Mind. So that combination, I think, is really good, like as teammates, to break down some of their defensive mons on their team. So I'm really excited.
Say that Gardevoir will be able to taunt it because it can't, because of Aroma Veil, so we've got to keep that in mind as the game goes along. I've used Alcremie, and it's burned other people before. So Toxic, very good against Alcremie because of the fact that it doesn't get stopped by Aroma Veil, but Taunt does, so we've got to make sure we don't accidentally click that, waste a move, and give it a chance to do
we need to see if the Alcremie is a Calm Mind set or if it's going to be like an Aromatherapy set. So I think it makes a big difference on which of these 2 mons is going to be better at breaking the Alcremie based on what its utility move is on its set. I think it's going to have 2 attacking moves. It's going to have Dazzle. It's going to have Mystical Fire, most likely, for its other move to hit the Copper, or maybe something for Salazzle if it gets a coverage move that hits both. I'm not entirely sure. I don't think it gets anything. Maybe Psyshock. Either way, I think it's only going to have room for the recovery move and then one of those 2 utility moves. And at that point, one of these 2 Pokemon should be able to break that thing down. So, yeah, Noctowl, super excited for its playoff debut. Probably, honestly, the first time Noctowl has ever been used in playoffs. And I will say, we said we're taking playoffs seriously, right? That just shows how much faith we have in Noctowl, guys. Pick up Noctowl as your tier 5 or as your low point mon for your team. If you have a couple points remaining, it's probably only going to be worth 1 or 2 points or a tier 5 slot on your roster. Give Noctowl a try. This thing's an absolute beast. But anyways, I digress. Next up is the Terrakion.
I have made you such a believer.
Dude, I am a believer.
You have totally changed your tone.
180, man. Totally. Like this thing is super good. It's like the best tier 5 I've ever used, and I'm serious. Anyways, Terrakion. Now, this is a set we kind of debated between a couple different options. We were looking at a Weakness Policy Rock Polish set. We were also looking at a Blunder Policy Swords Dance set, as you can see, and opted for this Blunder Policy set. Now, the defense investment on this does allow us to take a Jolly High Jump Kick from a Cinderace, assuming it's not boosted in some way after Stealth Rock, which could potentially be nice. I could see that easily being one of the mons they want to revenge us with. And in doing so, this also allows us to take an Adamant Earthquake into Shadow Sneak from the Dusknoir, which is very possibly something they could try to do. But Blunder Policy, really nice item. Second time we brought it this season. First time was on the Goat Noctowl. Second time is on Terrakion here. And we agreed that this was probably going to be the best option out of the two. Mainly because Swords Dancing on the Switch is most likely to be useful, as they are more than likely going to try to switch to the defensive wall against Terrakion, being the Dusknoir or maybe the Celebi. Both of those are possible options. And Terrakion's natural bulk actually allows it to take a, I think, a non-Leaf Storm, even max special attack from the Celebi. So that is nice as well if we need to be able to hit the Celebi twice. So yeah, this thing should be able to break through at least one defensive member of their team, as well as just be annoying for their offensive members to revenge kill, which is really nice. And there are forced, so in terms of speed tiers, unless they bring the Aselgor, which I don't think is very likely personally, they can only offensively revenge this with Cinderace or Scarfer, most likely Scarf Diggersby. And if they decide to bring Scarf on their Diggersby 1, I think that makes it less of a threat to our team in the sense that it is not going to be able to agility up and just sweep us, as we do have resistances to its dual stabs if it locks into one of them, but if it if it's able to switch up the moves, it becomes a lot more annoying. So if they do revenge this with the Scarf Diggersby, 1, it reveals the Scarf, and 2, it's going to give us a free setup with Noctowl. It could give us a free switch into our Hydreigon, which we'll show here in just a little bit as well, and we can abuse that turn in that way. So they don't have many ways to offensively revenge this, which makes it super threatening against their team. Taunt is really nice as well, just to prevent them from going for Haze against this, as that was really their strategy last time around, was trying to Haze spam to prevent the Terrakion from getting out of hand. I think they had Haze on the Vaporeon and Haze on the Dusknoir as well, and taunting either of those is definitely really nice for Terrak. And Blunder Policy, of course, we kind of expect this thing to miss a Stone Edge. In all honesty, it's kind of due to miss a Stone Edge. And I hate to say that, but hey, even if it doesn't miss a Stone Edge, that's cool too, because that's just going to be a lot of damage. But if we miss a Stone Edge, we're going to get that nice +2 speed, which makes us even more of a threat against their team. So yeah, Terrakion, probably not. I mean, it can be a win con. It certainly can be a win con in this game. I don't necessarily expect that it's going to win, but it should be able to at least pick up a kill, hopefully a kill and some serious damage or something else on their team. So that is the Terrakion. Speed is for a Celebi that's aggressively creeping Hydreigon. So yeah, that's Terrak.
Yeah, and I just want to add one more thing to the Terrakion, is that we did debate things like Earthquake or other moves, but we actually decided that Blunder Policy with the Swords Dance taunt combo and then just the dual stabs does give us good enough coverage against their entire roster, and more often than not, we will get to +2 and be okay with it. But we opted for Swords Dance with Blunder Policy as opposed to Rock Polish with Weakness Policy, because there's an opportunity for us to taunt the Dusknoir and then get to +4 with Swords Dance, which allows us to OHKO the Dusknoir with Stone Edge as opposed to missing, and going for the Blunder Policy boost. So where Weakness Policy does not give us the opportunity to get to +4 attack and be able to OHKO some of those more defensive mons that might be able to take a +2 hit, like the Vaporeon or the Dusknoir, we have the opportunity, the option, while unlikely to be gone for, something that we want to keep in the back pocket, just again to give us some flexibility and an additional added benefit for this Terrakion. So moving on to the next mon, though, this was our attempted win con last time. It didn't work, but they will, again, like we talked about last week, the thing about hosting a team builder that shows all of our thoughts about a team, the thing about having the battle and showing them the sets that we had, is that they know that we looked at the matchup and said, wow, Musharna has a really, really good offensive matchup in this particular case. And so they're going to see the Musharna again, and they're going to say, okay, they liked that set. They're going to support it better, perhaps, but they still want to run a set like that one they ran last time. So what we decided to do is flip the script 100%, and like last week in the playoffs, run a set that is entirely different to just throw them off just a little bit when they get used to what the set was from the last time. And so this time what we're doing is we're running a fully defensive Musharna with pretty much max HP, a ton of defense, some special defense to take hits on both sides. I believe this is now 2-hit KO'd instead of being OHKO'd by the Diggersby. And probably, I mean, Jolt made this set, so I'm going to be honest, yeah. I'm not 100% sure exactly what the EVs were.
Yeah, so the 64 Spadef is to prevent a 2-hit KO from Duraludon non-specs. specifically. We really don't have a great switch into it, and that was actually their lead last time around, and I don't really want us to lose Pokemon from turn 1 or 2 after they set rocks, so that just gives us a way to switch into it as needed, and then the rest was just thrown into defense to take hits from their physical mons better. So really it's just a nice pivot for the team. That was the idea.
But you also may notice that our moveset has changed dramatically, so we aren't actually running Moonblast on the Musharna this week. We decided to go with the Psychic. Psychic is just as spammable as Moonblast against their team, pretty much, with just a couple of resist. Obviously, the Celebi is a little annoying, and the Mr. Rhyme, if they decide to bring it, could be a little bit annoying, but they know we brought Moonblast last time, so they may not be tempted to go into those mons as readily. But what we actually want this thing to do is to just be a Cleric with that Heal Bell, and then Baton Pass on the switch into whatever they're going to go into on the Musharna to stop it from setting up and sweeping. We want to be able to abuse that, right? If they go into the Alcremie, we just Baton Pass right into the Gardevoir like we talked about. That's perfect. That's exactly what we're looking for. If they want to go Dusknoir to get that haze off, again, Baton Pass allows us to go out into something like the Hydreigon, something like the Noctowl, and abuse that as well. So we are going to be able to take advantage of their plays to stop the Musharna that they saw last time by just giving ourselves a Baton Pass, and then later bringing this thing in, taking a hit, going for the Heal Bell if needed on something like a Gardevoir that may have gotten burned by a Scald or a Toxic, and then get it back inactive. We can Moonlight up, we can Baton Pass again. This thing, very unlikely to click Psychic, and that's why we decided we were going to run Psychic just for the damage over something like Moonblast. But the support options that this thing gave us was just astronomically perfect for this matchup, and I think Musharna, again, gives us a really interesting situation because they need to respect the offensive one that they saw last time, and that gives us a chance to take advantage of a Baton Pass with a defensive set into something that actually is going to be a better matchup for us in those specific situations.
Yeah, I think the slow Baton Pass just has a lot of merit in this matchup. I think combining that with all these mons that are so good at breaking down their fat, I think that could be really effective. And the more opportunities that we have, the more clean opportunities we have to get some of these sub sweepers in, to get even Terrakion in, and even our Hydreigon that we'll show here in just a little bit. Like, the more opportunities we have to do that, the more likely we are to have success in this matchup. And this Musharna is just such a key member, I think, in being able to do that. And the Heal Bell is so essential too, as Goldoa was saying. Is we know they like their Toxic. Monotooi is on the team. There's going to be Toxic on at least one mon, probably 3 if I'm being honest. And so Musharna is going to be good at helping us get rid of those for sure. So next up is the Hydreigon. This is a super standard Hydreigon set. Nothing super flashy here, but it is Choice Scarfed. This is the classic X and Y, the classic Sun and Moon Hydreigon, the nice Choice Scarf, as it does outpace their entire team with the Choice Scarf, unless they run a Choice Scarf Cinderace or Celebi, and I guess a Choice Scarf the Acelgor would also outspeed us. But we do have speed investment to outpace the Acelgor. We do also have speed investment to outpace a Scarfed Duraludon if that's what they decide to do. Meaning that a Scarf Morpeko would actually outspeed us as well, but I'm not super concerned about that because I don't think that's going to be coming. But even so, with the Rash nature, we are able to do more damage with our Dual Stabs as well as with Surf. Now, Surf was opted for because it allows us to check the Cinderace without risking being set up on by the Diggersby, as otherwise we'd have to click something that's not able to immediately threaten the Diggersby, and we risk losing to the Agility set that they brought last time around. So the Surf is really nice for that. It doesn't quite guarantee knock out the Diggersby if they run Bulk Investment. Even without Bulk Investment, I think it might be guaranteed to live or have a good chance to live after rocks. So that's a little bit scary still, but it has to respect the fact that it can take a ton of damage from the Surf, and it's not necessarily free, and literally anything on our team could pick it off them with any attack that we have by just going for the Surf. So it's not going to be like a free setup opportunity, I guess, for the Diggersby. But yeah, so this thing just really nice at revenging mons on their team, but most importantly, probably its most important role is forcing in the Alcremie. Once again, just like the Musharna wants to Baton Pass on some of these fat passive switch-ins, this thing also likes to U-turn on those fat passive switch-ins to get us more opportunities to go into our Gardevoir, our Noctowl, or Terrakion, and just apply that offensive pressure against their team much, much more effectively than how we were able to do it in our first matchup against them this season. So yeah, this thing is just really good at being a revenge killer. It's really good at forcing initiative, and just keeping us in the driver's seat in this game. And I think that momentum is going to be the most important factor, honestly, in this game. If we can maintain momentum with Musharna and Hydreigon and apply offensive pressure with the mons that we brought offensively, then I think we'll be in a good position for the game to have a good chance to win. So, yeah, Hydreigon, really straightforward set, nothing flashy, but again, a super important role here for the game.
Dude, I'm not gonna lie. I really am glad you took the 3 mons you did, because you gave me the 3 mons that are way more hype. So the last mon, super standard. It's just Copper Raja. It's got rocks. There's really nothing interesting to talk about here. Set is, Sheer Force, Iron Head, Earthquake, Power Whip, really standard moves. We're going max attack, but a Jolly Nature this week just because we wanted to outspeed some stuff, because we are a Choice Scarf. Yes, we are Choice Scarf Copper Raja. Base 30. We speed tie with that Slowbro. They don't have a Slowbro, but we are going to outpace any Vaporeon, Surfetch'd, or Adamant Diggersby that is not Scarfed or Agility boosted. We are able to outspeed those and spam this Iron Head till Kingdom Come, or the Power Whip if it's Vaporeon's case specifically. But Sheer Force boosted Iron Head does so much damage to their team. This thing's coverage was almost perfect for their entire roster, at least neutral coverage on their entire roster, even with that spot for Stealth Rock. And Jolt, before we started recording, was talking about it, and he was like, yeah, so I was thinking that we'd, go ahead and send our Copper Raja in first, go for Stealth Rock so we bluff that we're not Scarfed. And I was like, Jolt, you do not need to bluff that a Copper Raja is not Scarfed, because it's a Copper Raja. It has base 30 speed.
I'm just saying, man. I'm just saying. It can only help.
They won't. There's a 0% chance, based on all probability, that they see a Scarf Copper Raja coming, and it decreases when they see rocks. I respect that. But at the same time, I just don't think it's a bluff. I just think it's reality. That's just Copper Raja. We're basically saying, look, we're not Assault Vest, and that's the information they gain from us clicking rocks. They don't really get the, okay, they're not Scarfed information until we kill Diggersby with an Iron Head when it's Choice Banded and thinks it's got the game on lock. So that's going to be absolutely massive. I do actually really like this Scarf set this week. The fact that we outspeed over half of their team, uninvested Duraludon, and if they do decide to run an uninvested Celebi that's defensive and can take a hit from the Hydreigon, instead of trying to outspeed it, expecting us to be maybe Scarfed, we are able to outpace that as well. So it actually ends up giving us a lot of speed utility, really good speed tier. That's a really weird thing to say out loud. But it's a really solid speed tier with the Choice Scarf. So I do actually really like this set, and I think Jolt came up with this one. He gives me credit for the Noctowl from a few weeks back, but I will give him full credit for coming up with this Choice Scarf. We worked on it a little bit to get the EVs just right, to make that speed outpacing some of the stuff that I was most worried about it outpacing. But Jolt definitely was the one who came up with Choice Scarf Copper Raja. So if it works, or should I say when it works, when they don't see it coming, give Jolt all the credit for this one this week, because this was entirely his set. I love this team. If this is our last battle with it this week, I feel like we showcased some mons that people don't necessarily think are the biggest threats, in a way that they, in a team that didn't look like giant threats across the board. But we showcased that even our low tier mons put in a ton of work, put in a ton of pressure this season. When they were in the right matchups. And I think that's the big thing between a high tier and a low tier. I've always said this. People are saying your high tier mons are your best mons, your low tier mons are the mons you're just they're weak, they're worse. And I say no, your high tier mons are the mons that have more good matchups, and your low tier mons are the ones that have fewer good matchups. But that doesn't mean they don't have the chance to succeed. And like we're showing with Noctowl this week, like we're showing with Scarf Copper Raja this week, Musharna's coming this week, our low tier mons have a very good matchup here. And we are showcasing that is not a time to say, look, it's the semifinals, I'm just going to bring my best mons, my top 6. No, bring the 6 that make the most sense in a given matchup. And I think the fact that we are showcasing that in the semifinals you can bring literally this kind of stuff and feel good about it going into the matchup is a testament to the team.
Yeah, I totally agree. And let's just take a second to admire the fact that we have 2 tier 5s on this team for the semifinals. I think our only 2 tier 5s, right? The 2 lowest tiered members of our roster are here for the semifinals, and both of them have super important roles. So yeah, shout out to the low tier mons out there that are pretty effective. And you're totally right, though. That's exactly correct, that you know, these Pokemon, they're not necessarily bad. I will say some Pokemon are bad. Plusle is a bad Pokemon. I'm sorry.
Okay, I will concede
Plusle.
that are bad Pokemon.
Plusle is a bad Pokemon, but these tier 5 Pokemon in the right matchups, just like you were saying, can definitely be one of the most optimal 6 members of your team. So yeah, and we happen to see that here with Noctowl and the Musharna, both of which have solid matchups here, and we think can do a good job for us. So that is the team that we are bringing into the semifinals of the TBL. We're going to see if we can take down the top team in the league, and I think we have a good shot at doing it. This team does seem like it is cohesive. It seems like it has the pieces that are needed to break through the type of team that they brought last time around and still handle a more offensive mold that I think they are more likely than not to try to attempt for this rematch. But any final thoughts on this, Goldoa?
No, I mean, I really like it. I gave my perspective on this team a minute ago, but again, we want to win. I think that during the course of the season, it may have been easy to say that Jolt and I were doing this just for fun, and I think even now we're doing it just for fun. We're having fun with it. While this team we feel is the most optimal team we can bring, we are also excited because this team is a little bit out there. Their sets are a bit more creative, and personally, I think we've gotten to the point now where Jolt and I are looking at this and saying there's 4 teams. There's a 25% chance if you just picked one at random that we win a championship. And we're giving ourselves the best chance to do that because we want to say we won this championship. Let's be honest. We're both incredibly competitive people.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, I'm excited. I think this semifinal matchup, it's against the best team. They did only lose 1 match this season. They destroyed us in our worst loss of the entire season earlier on a few weeks back. So do we think this is going to be a cakewalk? Absolutely not. Are we going to let our foot off the gas? Absolutely not. I think that's an important distinction to make. We are going in with the full respect and expectation that they are going to give us the best match we've had all season. But we are going to give them a semifinal match to be remembered. They are not going to walk away from this saying, wow, that was a breeze, that was a joke, and they didn't deserve to be here. You know, we're going to show them that, no, as much as we don't think we should have been in the playoffs in the first place, we deserve to be in this match, and we are excited to give it our all.
Absolutely, man. I'm really excited for this game, and I can't wait for it to happen. I wish it was happening right after this, as we were originally planning to be the case, but it's going to be a little bit down the road. But the video is going to be coming out tomorrow, so if you guys are looking forward to that part at least. But yeah, let us know what you think about the team in the comments below, as usual. Let us know if you guys are excited for the semifinals match coming out. And yeah, I think that's about all we have to say for this one. Thanks for watching, guys, once again, and I will see you all in the next one. Have a good one, guys.
Take care, everybody.